At the age of 56, Shardul Shroff is today one of India's leading corporate lawyers. Along with younger brother Cyril, they transformed what was once a family-run firm founded in 1917 by their grandfather, Amarchand Shroff, into a legacy that would be India's largest law firm, Amarchand Mangaldas. Leading its evolution, Shardul Shroff has been instrumental in creating Amarchand into a firm of 555 lawyers pan-India, close to $130 million in revenue from a clientele that includes many corporate powerhouses. His story as a lawyer began in 1980 when he was sent away to Delhi by his father Suresh Shroff to begin work on the nearly 3,000 pending cases the firm had compiled by consolidating business in the capital city. Today, Shardul and Cyril often advise the government of India on the legal implications of many policy reforms. VCCircle caught up with Shardul Shroff to talk about the evolution of the firm, its expansion plans forward, and what he thought of the government's latest reforms. I want to start off the interview today with, an interesting aspect of Amarchand Mangaldas. Now, you went as a 24-year-old boy to Delhi to start up the firm. Today, we're talking now of a law firm of 600 people. I want to get an understanding of, what are the key factors that you have understood and observed in running a successful law firm?
I think it's been a great journey because when you start small, we were just two people when we started in 1980 when I went to Delhi. And now at Delhi alone we'll be about 230 people. So it's how you keep changing the model, keep changing the management, how your processes keep changing, how you're dealing with the human beings in the firm keeps changing, how work creation keeps changing, the type of work creation keeps changing. So it's a fascinating experiment in how the process keeps evolving and how you also evolve from just being a pure technical lawyer to also being a manager of a law firm. I think it's been a great transition.
Okay. You've been talking about now touching 1,000 crores of revenue. You're adding this target of 600 lawyers.
That's a vision statement for 2017 for a reason that we are going to hit our 100th centenary in 2017. So in the year 2012 or 2011 actually, October of 2011, we sort of projected to ourselves that that's the ambitious target that we want to set ourselves, which effectively doubles the firm. In the sense, we were about 500 people October 2011, and we would like to be twice that size in terms of the people, in terms of the way we do our turnovers, create wealth, create value, and run an organization which has a national footprint. So that was the vision which we projected in 2011 October.
So how much of that have you already achieved?
See, it's the first year. I mean, we just exactly 1 year from that, and we have moved well. Obviously, the market has changed between 2011 and 2012, and we keep adjusting. This is not something where the external environment also has a great bearing on how any law firm, or for that matter, any service organization has to mold to what's happening in the environment around us. We've fortunately been done quite well. We could have done better. Everybody could have done better. But I think there is a slowdown now. So yes.
So you are seeing a slowdown in terms of?
In terms of the extra, I mean, in the sense the clientele are certainly not as bullish as they were,
okay.
Say back. The 2008 effect is still lingering.
Okay.
And it's not fully gone. So a lot depends on how market also moves.
So in terms of now increasing the number of lawyers in Amarchand, I wanted to get an understanding of which would those verticals be, which of those sectors would you want to emphasize now on creating a larger team?
I think there are clearly many areas where we are seeing the expansion. We have, for example, in the last 2 years ramped up our competition department fairly significantly, almost between our offices we have about 20 to 25 people now exclusively doing competition work. So when we started out the process in say October, we were hardly 5 to 7. So yeah, that's been a ramp up. So also with the tax, also with the insurance. So it will keep happening. Environment, because there is a new tribunal which has come up, the against tribunal, then economic offences. So it's a question of how client needs are seen. Private equity, for example, there's been a significant surge in the number of people who do private equity work, and that sort of keeps happening. It's an all-round growth. So we wouldn't say that we are only targeting a department. Yes, there would be some departments which are newer departments which need to be beefed up, but it's an all-round process of growth.
I want to talk about the next aspect of, if you're going to create the largest law firm in India, from an HR perspective, how do you retain employees, or how do you poach your lawyers from other law firms, or how do you even keep the attrition rate low? Is there something in specific that Amarchand is doing to, retain the law firms, or even attract extra talent?
I think yes, there's quite a lot happening on that score, for the reason that we have a declared vision in the way we will promote our people. We give them a partnership track. We have a clear employee movement. So there is no hurdle rate. If you are a good performer, you should aspire to move down the ranks. I think what's happening is other firms, and this is again market talk, I have no definite information. I keep gleaning these facts from other human resource companies which place people with us, that yes, perhaps our firm is the only one which has a declared vision of where we want to be in 5 years from now, how we want to promote our people, what kind of composition as a firm we will have. So those are far great certainties that we have effectively declared, and we are sticking to it. Other firms probably have not done so, and therefore there is a sort of movement. Also, I think what's happened is that some of the best relationships have fallen apart, over the issue of India not opening, and those kind of problems with other firms also have a fallout of people leaving and talent becoming available in the market.
Okay.
As a firm which is aspiring to be 1,000-person firm or 1,000 lawyer firm, there are bound to be some movement of people.
Okay.
I mean, you can't, any organization with that kind of size, when you compare a 1,000-person firm and you compare a 50-person firm, a movement of 6 people is 12%, whereas in a firm of 1,006 people is nothing. So yeah, those kind of comparatives will happen. So yes, there will be people moving in and out. We traditionally tend to lose people who want to go for higher studies.
Okay.
Sometimes it's an issue where they want to go and join into client firms.
Okay.
Some of them want to go and do their own things. You have people, set up a food chain and stuff like that. Yeah, so there are those people who discover at the end of 3 or 4 years' time that they want to do something else. So those are matters which I think we take in our stride. We have to move, because when we set ourselves a goal, we have to keep going. And those issues, so therefore there's a calibrated process. Our net growth rate in terms of human beings should be 100 per year.
Okay.
And that's the kind of target we set ourselves. So yes, there will be some who go, some will come, but on the whole, at the end of the year, we should be able to show that there are 100 people added to the firm at various levels.
Going forward, will there be a shift, and will there be a succession plan in order?
See, there has to be a succession plan. It's not something which we cannot not do. So yes, undoubtedly, I think the transition even from in 2011 has seen a much broader and wider based management committee. We are perhaps the first firm which actually has 2 independent management experts on our board who are clearly associated with the legal space. We've had a former BCG, BCG partner, Mr. James Abraham, as one of the members of our management committee, because he has a deep insight on the workings of the firm. And we also have George Golding, who sort of ceased to be a lawyer. He was the managing partner of Scott & May in Hong Kong. And so he also is a participant and a member of the management committee. So we have, in some sense, the transitioning process, the managerial bandwidth, and the managerial knowledge which keeps flowing into the firm from external resources like this. We have a consistent, consultancy issue with Boston Consulting Group. So we get continuous advice in relation to how the process of management issues will keep changing.
Last year, the headlines were filled with scams and corruptions, and that was the only thing making headlines. Vodafone was undergoing a litigation which had huge consequences, but we still saw a 55% increase in the amount of investment in 2011. Now that the reforms have come, do you see a sort of a boom period coming right immediately, or do you still see a sort of a cautiousness from investors abroad?
I don't see a boom or a bust. I think there's consistent investment coming into India. There are lots of funds globally who have raised $1 billion to invest into opportunities into India, and that money will keep coming. So I don't see something which is extraordinary, nor do I see a complete failure of India as a destination for investment. It's just, as you said, if there's been a 55% growth, I think it will happen year on year in this space. There will be some exits, but there will be newcomers looking at India. So on the whole, I think India is going to receive investment because there are lots of things still keep going on for India. The fact that it's a robust democracy, the fact that there's a cleansing process going on, the fact that the judiciary has declared processes of how natural resources have to be dealt with in India. Processes have sort of received judicial sanction, and where there is wrong, they intervene. So I think these are very great symbols of democracy. The fact that we can speak so freely in the national press, and that matters don't get ducked into, and it's remarkable as a democracy.
To your mind, which are the sectors that you will see a lot of interest now coming from?
I think telecom is going to be the immediate boost issue. I have a feeling that the real estate growth will continue because there is still a lot of interest in realty funds making investments in India. The opportunity funds where people are looking at discounted opportunities, companies which are otherwise not bad in terms of management, but have gone into a bad cycle and are available for sort of being picked up. Those kind of activities will happen in the future. The distressed situation, I think that will be something you'll see in the short run. Companies being pulled out from such situations, being bought in at a discount to their original values 4 years ago. Those kind of activities are ongoing. A lot of hospitality areas I see. So the smaller restaurants and the smaller food eateries, fast-moving consumer goods are receiving investment. If insurance opens out, banking opens out, you will see a lot more in that space because I think that is an interest which is deep. Most foreigners do want to get into retail banking to the European population. I think e-commerce, if it is allowed into B2C, will also see a lot of activity. So there's a lot of areas where we see a lot of activity.
Now you mentioned telecom and real estate, but they are two industries riddled with a lot of policy issues. Talking about the FDI now that has been opened up in the two consumer sectors that you spoke of, do you see any litigation? Do you see any legislative, or do you see any policy inconsistencies that you all will have to deal with such reforms coming in?
I think, in a sense, on telecom, the government is calibrating its moves. Well, today's, for example, what they've done for 2.5 megahertz and allowed the incumbents to really hold on to that because the option otherwise to move was to 1800 megahertz. So they are therefore looking at things because clearly the indication seems to be that the auctions may not fetch the kind of values that have been talked about. It will be much lower than what was anticipated. So with that kind of fund constraints which the government and the country as such will face, there will still be activity in that space because newer players may come in, but at least the older players who are struggling might just consolidate and you might see a sort of a lesser number of players in telecom, which will create its own M&A activity.
Okay.
Because it's not as if those assets are going to go waste. They will just get merged into other companies and incumbents. So those, and I think today also again on that space, for example, the group of ministers, the empowered group of ministers has taken a decision on intrust service mergers of companies. So there is clearly thinking that the way the whole sector is spaced, There will be some amount of restructuring because it's highly debt leveraged. The ARPUs have been quite low. So there's bound to be some amount of churn in telecom. I think the same is true of real estate. But the real estate is a different ball game because people tend to hold much longer in the space. But yes, there will be some amount of consolidation. There could be some amount of public interest litigation in that space because you're seeing some kind of movement again, that India against corruption kind of story of why is so much land given in Lodha, is there something more in VCI? So all those issues will keep happening. But I think all said and done, you're going to see whether it's a cancellation and recreation, there will be movement.
Okay. Does this whole thing about FDI retail between the federal system and the states allowing to choose whether they want to get into it or not, does this drop up legal hassles?
No, it does not prop up legal assets because if a particular state wants its land usage to be in a specific way, they have the right. In terms of the federal policy, FEMA is the central subject.
Okay.
So whilst you look at issues of investment, all that it means is that you localize that investment in states which are willing. But when you look at it from the customer perspective, let's take, if supposing the state of Delhi allows multi-brand retailing, what prevents a customer to come across the border, buying stuff and going? And that's what's going to happen. So it's not as if the customer of the city or the customer of the territory regionally located or proximal is going to be free from access to the goods. And I think states will realize that if you are losing out on revenue, they won't. So it's a matter of time. It's a matter of comfort. Unless the state has comfort that its mom and pop shops, its kirana stores are not going to be decimated by this kind of new activity, they won't open. Because this is about population, it's about election. So once the elections are passed or once the stability factor is established, I think retailing will definitely change in the Indian context.
The investment route and all is the next topic that I want to get into, and that is car. What is your thoughts on the recommendations so far by the SOAP committee? Because they were also supposed to be effective from April this year, but now it's now shifted to April of next year. So, are the new recommendations going to create more problems, or will it stabilize things more?
I think it will stabilize things for the simple reason that the two or three things which have been major statements that this whole policy should not be used to expand the tax base, that there should be no retrospectivity in terms of interest and penalties, because if you change the rules of the game, you can't retrospectively say that you've done wrong from a back date.
Yes.
So I think these are sensible, sane concepts which have come through from the Shroff report. Also in terms of the tax residency and the substance test, if they are propounding a theory that we will not go behind the tax residency certificate of the foreign countries, whether it's Singapore or whether it's Mauritius or any of the tax treaty countries with which India has a good treaty, then I think it will clearly help in stabilizing. You're already seeing the effect. I think today's papers carries the story that P notes are at the highest peak of this year in October. So if that's happened, then clearly some amount of confidence is back.
Okay.
And what's hooked the FIIs is something which is stabilized, because I think they do know that now it's not going to be unraveling the ultimate know your customer theory as to who's the person and give us the details and we will disqualify the investment based on who the person is behind. I think those issues are sort of watered down.
Okay.
And I think that's big achievement.
During the case arguments at the Bombay High Court on the Vodafone case, the whole topic of nexus between the business that resides within territory and outside was a big matter of debate. Will the new recommendations be able to deal with such cases?
Yeah, I think they've contemplated indirect transfers and the test that if the assets are more than 50% in the country which is proposing to tax, that there would be amount of prorating in relation to the capital gains. I think that is clearly an indication of the nexus test, because the effects theory, where is the change happening, where is the transfer actually implemented? Because whilst the title may transfer, in a foreign jurisdiction, whether it's Mauritius or BVI, ultimately, if it's going to result in a change of control in India, and the valuation is effectively based on the net asset value in India, then should India derive tax? It's a moot question, because otherwise you're avoiding tax by going to countries which have no tax. So to some extent, if the assets are based in India, should India have the ability to get some income from such transactions is a valid question to sort of arise in the minds of revenue. But it has to be reasonable. It can't be unreasonable, and people are allowed to plan this, and you're discriminating in a sense that other nations don't do it, then India loses. Today, a single step of a Vodafone kind of retrospective amendment has resulted in a setback to FDI. People have been annoyed as investors that if this country can retrospectively change the rules of the game, we don't want to go here. Yes. So those kind of things are perception issues, and they are very important at a time when India is an emerging nation. We are not yet a fully developed nation. We are a fast-growing nation. But yes, we need a lot more money to come, and therefore we need a stable tax regime, and we can't be changing the goalposts every now and then. So everything which allows an investor to feel more sure, more certain, and involved and attracted is what will bring money.
Okay.
And I think government has to do that.
Now, though that GAR norms will cover all bilateral treaties, tax treaties, one is concerned that Mauritius as an investment route may be compromised in a certain way because, well, a majority of the investment does come from there. Is it compromised in any way?
See, it depends on the substance test. It depends on whether you have established truly, and it's not just a sort of a tax treaty shopping kind of stuff. So as long as there is genuine, backup in Mauritius, I don't think it will be compromised. But this kind of, using it like an address and routing monies from there and getting away on the basis that I have a global one certificate and therefore I should get the benefits, those questions will get more difficult, and rightly so. Just because the money touches Mauritius doesn't mean it should be eligible. It should have the benefit of actually some amount of activity. It should be in some sense based out of there must be some substance in Mauritius. And I think that's happening globally. All countries are now looking at this because every country is feeling the pinch of a slowdown. Tax revenues have fallen, so everybody is looking to raise money. I think this will become a global movement.
What is this market? What is this industry of law firms as such? Where is it really at today, and how is it really going forward? You started in Delhi by consolidating a couple of the Shroff family law firms. Is there an appetite today, or is there a possibility, a scenario in which we could see firms itself consolidating each other?
I think it is inevitable, but I don't think the mindset is ready yet. You require a lot more mental preparation for law firms to actually get into the game of merging and consolidating. Issues in terms of differences in structure, differences in capitalization, differences in valuation. Every mom and pop shop feels I can do X value in terms of the market, and the scales differ. So it's a very complex process. It's been done in the accounting world. We've had a lot of mergers 7-10 years ago in the accounting firms when firms like E&Y took over Party Boy, or how mergers took place in Deloitte, or how mergers took place in PwC, how they acquired RSM. So those stories are there. They're great stories, but there has to be an understanding that for doing that, the law firms which are seeking to merge into a larger plane have to understand that it's not as if par values are offered for everything, because every firm is not equal. And unless there is that assimilation, unless there is a collectivism, and there's a belief that we can do better as a larger law firm and face the competition on a larger base, when you're strength in numbers in a sense, or strength in scale, that understanding is yet to come. So as I see, there is too much still of splinter behavior. Let me start a small 2-person firm and we'll see. I won't be worse off than what I am. That approach is wrong. So there's a lot of mental change which is needed for that to happen. It will happen. I have no doubt that it will happen. It people believe that you get premium for wherever you are. I think that's not the reality.